Hi, my name is Brian Riggs, and this is the Spanish Guitar Techniques series. And this is the second lesson in the series, tremolo. So tremolo is one of my favorite techniques for the guitar. What it is tremolo is when you have a very fast repeated note, when you repeat the same note over and over really quickly, and it gives the illusion of a long sustained note. Now what's unique about the guitar is that while we're doing that long sustained note kind of illusion kind of thing, at the same time, we're using the thumb of the right hand to play a bass part to go along with it. Other instruments just do that higher note where it's just repeated really fast, but we do that plus a bass part. So I'm going to give you an example of that, a piece by one of my favorite composers for guitar, Agustin Barrios. He was one of the early rock stars of the guitar in the early 20th century. He was from Paraguay. He has a piece called An Alm for the Love of God, and it uses a tremolo technique to do a fast repeated note on the high E string, and at the same time using the thumb of the right hand to pluck out part on the bass strings. So I'll play you an example of that piece, and then we'll kind of break down the technique and look at some strategies for practicing it. Alright, so let's take a look at the technique. The way that Spanish guitarists do a tremolo technique is to do a 4-note pattern with the fingers of the right hand. So it starts with P, or the thumb, A, or ring finger, M, or middle finger, and I, or index finger. And so I'm going to do all 4 notes for right now, all on the same string. So on the high E string, I'll play P, A, M, I, P, A, M, I. So that's a great way to start practicing. Most people find that it's kind of easiest to start off with if the thumb is kind of closer to the fingers. So we're going to go whatever speed is comfortable for you. Don't feel at all like you have to go too fast. Again, the tremolo, the effect of a tremolo kind of depends on having the notes be really nice and even in how long they last for, and then how loud the sound is. So for most people, it's a really comfortable motion if they kind of open up their hand and then curl up the fingers into a fist, starting on the pinky side, and then curling over into the thumb side. So that's the kind of motion you want to use when you're doing a tremolo technique. You want to be thinking of moving from the knuckle joint and just kind of very relaxedly, just one big motion, as opposed to 3 distinct motions. So if you think of your finger like a leg, this is like the hip joint, and you're kind of propelling yourself from there. That's where you're walking from, and these guys are just kind of touching the actual string. So start on the high E string. Now as you go along, you might feel okay, get pretty comfortable. Then you can start to speed it up. Now once you get pretty comfortable with that, then see if you can keep the fingers, A, M, and I, all on the same string, and then move the thumb to the next string toward the ceiling. So we'll go B, G, B, A. So once you get comfortable practicing with the tremolo just on the same string and then kind of expanding the strings, the next step is to hold down a left-hand chord shape and just keep that held down and see if you can do the tremolo technique where you keep your fingers A, M, and I on the high E string, and then you move your thumb around to different bass strings. So a study I do a lot of times is kind of just a few chords in a progression, kind of like a Spanish or flamenco sounding kind of chord progression. A minor, E, and then throw in this F major 7 chord here. So the chord progression, what I'm going to do is going to hold down these shapes. I'm going to hold down A minor, then go to the E chord, back to the A minor. Then here, the F major 7, back to the E, and then just end on A minor. And so what I'll do is kind of move my thumb between the different strings while I'm doing a tremolo technique with the 3 fingers, doing that fast repeated note on the high E string. So. So that's one way you can start practicing the tremolo technique. You can use whatever chord progression or song that you're already working on. I think it's just good to get the coordination of being able to move the left hand while you're doing the tremolo technique with the right hand. So tremolo is just kind of a great way to strengthen your fingers, and it's also really good for working on the coordination of your fingers to kind of feel that big knuckle joint kind of motion. So that's something you can kind of hopefully start incorporating into your playing. To review, I think a good place to start with the tremolo technique is doing them all on the same string, and then kind of going to like a chord shape, where you kind of keep the left hand chord held down and you do the tremolo technique. And you can kind of incorporate it in some of the songs or some of the finger picking patterns or accompaniment patterns that you're already doing. So I hope you found something helpful in this lesson. Good luck with everything, and thanks for watching.